It is my pleasure to introduce to you next our guest of honor, Ashish Dev Kapur, an award-winning water sustainability philanthropist, hotelier, and restaurateur, a recognized ESG thought leader. As vice chairman and co-founder of Gurujal, he has led the rejuvenation of 200 lakes and ponds. He's the founder of iconic brands like Whiskey Samba, Antares Restaurant and Beach Club, and the wine company, just to name a few. He's also hosted the OTT series Connoisseur Conversations on News 9 Plus, and he's deeply committed to driving positive change through his innovative interventions. Mr. Kapur, we're thrilled to have you join us this morning, and we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Good morning, Dr. Chadha, Chairperson, faculty, staff, and the brilliant students. Thank you very much for inviting me over here today. As we saw earlier, the diya is lit, light is everywhere, and they say that once the diya is lit, God's presence is invoked. The divine is here. So what we're going to do first is from our mouth to God's ears, we're going to say something, and you're going to help repeat after me. झुकती है दुनिया, झुकाने वाला चाहिए. Once more, and hopefully a lot louder because he's very far away, right? So you need to be a little louder. So झुकती है दुनिया, झुकाने वाला चाहिए. Once more, 3 times. He loves it 3 times. झुकती है दुनिया, झुकाने वाला चाहिए. And now again, repeat after me. वो हैं हम, वो हैं हम, वो हैं हम. A big round of applause to you guys. You guys are creating your destinies here at IIAD. You know, today is the first day of orientation, and I'm sure all of you also, or some of you, woke up thinking, it's my first day in orientation, I have to look cool, I have to belong here. How many of you felt this way? Yeah, a couple of hands, right? Well, honestly, so did I. The only difference is that as the chief guest, if I bomb this, you can't left swipe me, you have to bear me for 20 minutes. So you better buckle up and enjoy the ride. And essentially, this is not a sermon, which is why I'm not there, I'm standing here with you, because I truly believe that I'm an older version of you guys sitting here. A little more experienced version of you guys sitting here. And today, thank you. तालियों की गूंज कोई दिक्कत नहीं. And my job today, is to share not wisdom, but to share my experiences, to share mistakes and failures which you may possibly make, or your future self might possibly make, and just being aware of those will help you maybe not make some of them, or just be aware of what and how you can do to get out of it. I will also share some secrets of some success. I think I've been lucky with some good calls, and trust me, a lot of bad calls also. So it's going to be a frank conversation with a future self on this journey. But to start, my first big piece of advice along this journey is dream wildly. Dream big. Just dream, right? I will tell you my story also, but I'm sure all of us have heard John Lennon's famous song, I'm a dreamer and I'm not the only one. Well, I see 300 future storytellers, creators, dreamers over here in this room, right? So do you guys, do a lot of you, can I see a show of hands who love dreaming, right? And I'm not talking about, I want to wake up and become famous dream, or, I want to wake up and become rich dream. No. The dreams I'm talking about are dreams that you see something that no one else is seeing exist, right? And you say, you know what, I'm going to be the one who gets this to happen. Let's take some examples, right? Why can't clothes grow with us? Why can't they change as the seasons change? Why can't cities be self-healing? Why can't buildings repair themselves because of the right biomaterials? Why can't paraplegics walk? Why? right? Why can't jewelry change color depending on your emotions? Now, wouldn't it be cool to design all these things, right? These are the dreams that I'm talking about, and these are the dreams that you need to dream today. And I remember, at 25, I had finished my engineering. Not at 25, I hadn't failed a couple of years, but I'd worked for GE Capital a couple of years, and I started dreaming. I'd always been dreaming, but I decided that I want to give my dreams some legs. And my dream at that time was, listen, Indians love Chinese food, and there's no chain of Chinese restaurants that is trendy. You know, why can't we have a Pizza Hut for Chinese food, but at the pricing that is reasonable and aspirational? And I started Yo China. I went to Goa and I saw people going to beach shacks, and I said, this is nice, but the world goes to Ibiza. Why can't we have really nice beach clubs and restaurants in Goa? And I started Antares. Over the years, I saw that the city doesn't really drink wine, and I wondered why, because wine has so much storytelling and variety of grapes and terroir around it. So when no one was drinking wine, we said, let's start the wine company. And when everyone's grandfather was drinking whiskey, we said, well, how do we make whiskey young and cool? And we started with Whiskey Samba. And over the years, we looked at, the dream of creating blessings from water and getting 200 lakes to be rejuvenated. In the tech world, we looked at how do we dream of ending loneliness through humanoid robotics? How do we dream of elderly care with games? Because apparently as you age, you spend more and more time on your phones. So how can you put phones and games on phones that really help the elderly with their cognitive ability, and many such things. India's coastline is opening up. How do we dream of creating the nicest cruise ship companies or the nicest Ibiza style of islands in India? These are all dreams, right? But dreams are also dangerous. Dreams are dangerous because dreams will make you quit jobs. Dreams will make you start businesses that never existed. Dreams will make you face rejection. But that's the beauty about dreams, and that's what 25, when I started my journey, I was working with GE. I gave up my job and started my first business. And very often people ask me, oh, it's all about dreams are linked with capital, right? You need to have a lot of capital. And then they ask me, because I tell them very frankly that I didn't have any capital when I started these dreams. So they say, well, what's the best way to raise capital? How many of you think about this question? I have a dream, I know I can do this, but I don't have the money. So what's the best way to raise capital? Do any of you think of this question? Yeah? Couple of you? Well, my big advice to you is date in college, right? No, I mean it. Dating is the perfect training ground to follow your heart, right? Face rejection. And listen, if you have been ghosted while you're in college, investors ghosting your mails asking for capital is going to be a piece of cake, right? So for all of you over here, you've got a couple of years. I mean, your professors know you have a life outside college, so there's no problem. So facing rejection and making your dreams come true is really the start of the journey. So at 25, I started. I didn't have capital. I went through about 95 odd investors, heard enough no's. Luckily, I had dated a little in college, so it was easy facing the rejection. And then finally, at 25, I started my first business. It did really well. At 27, I raised 100 crores. And at 29, then I went nearly bankrupt, right? So the learnings didn't come from raising the 100, but nearly losing the 100. And what I can tell your future self is, and right now I'm not really going to talk a lot about how I lost the money. That's a totally separate topic. Although I will touch upon just one thing over there. At 27, when I had raised the 100, I thought I was very clever, right? How many people in the room think of clever as a great word? How many of you would want to be clever? Right? Quite a few of you. Well, my big learning was clever is a horrible word, right? Clever for me equals jugaad. Why not be intelligent and wise, right? That stays with you. And one thing you have to promise yourself is that you have to weed out certain words that we as a society have got used to. So for a lot of us, clever is very, very, and it's not none of our faults, but society has made us believe that clever is good, right? Wise and intelligent is way, way better. So that's for another topic of how I lost the money. But what I want to come to after dreaming, after raising capital, after losing it, it's very, very important to have the perseverance to get back up on your feet. There's going to be no one in this room who will not face failure at some point in life, right? That's a guarantee. Everyone will face failure. Now, the secret is, what do you do when the odds are against you? What do you do when it's super, super dark? You've lost nearly 100 crores. There's nearly nothing to be joyful or happy about. How do you pull yourself out of that? Because frankly, if I hadn't pulled myself out of that, I wouldn't be standing here talking to all of you. And it's the grace of God that that's happened, but there are some secrets, there are some tips that your future self needs to be aware of, right? One of those things is in those darkest moments when there's nothing to be grateful about, write your gratitude journal, right? In those deepest moments, especially when you see absolutely nothing to be happy about, find sources of happiness, right? Write that gratitude journal, surround yourself with people who give you energy. Einstein said many, his most famous equation, E equals mc squared, if you actually translate it, all it's saying is energy cannot be created or destroyed, it's transferred, right? So if the universe has sucked energy out of you, how do you get it back? Just surround yourself with great energy. If you surround yourself with great energy, your parents, your people, your friends, your believers, you will get it back. So gratitude. The second thing is integrity, and which is where the word jugaad and clever comes in. One of the things in your hardest moments is you still have to make sure that your character and integrity is intact. So whether it means paying suppliers, paying people, not cutting corners, because those things will give you blessings. And honestly, I'll tell you a secret. What gets you back on your feet are those blessings. It's not money again. It's not another opportunity. It's blessings. So if somebody asks me today, what business am I in? I'm in the business of collecting blessings, because everything else will happen, right? So in those darkest moments, stand back up, don't give up. Just write your gratitude journal. Remember this conversation with your future self. Write your gratitude journal, collect those blessings. I do another, and find whatever little so-called weird technique that works for you. Believe it or not, but I talk to water, right? Before drinking water, I talk to water. I'm 70% water. I charge my intentions and I drink it, and miracles happen. Find whatever works for you, right? Do something crazy. If you're dreaming crazy, do something crazy, but get back on your feet. Once you're back on your feet, so it took me a couple of years to get back on my feet. And then I looked back one day and I said, listen, all this is great. luckily I'm back on my feet. I've had quite a journey. But what has been a really, really big life lesson? Because I think I'm going to now look at creating something from my learning, something even better. What can I do? What's the big, big aha moment learning, basis which whatever I create will stay? Because I had created things which also then after some years fell. So the big learning for me there was the intersection between three things: your skill, what you're learning here, your passion, right? All of us are passionate about something. Some of you want to create clothes, some of you want to do communication, some of you want to do management, banking, fashion, whatever you want to do, right? So there's skill, passion, but the third thing is very, very important, and that's the secret sauce, which is purpose. If you see, as a classic example, what Dr. Chadda has done at IIAD, this is not a design school. This is a home for dreamers where your passion and purpose collide, right? And what you have to do is go after this very purpose, right? What you have today is you're not coming here to be interior designers or UI UX designers or management experts or luxury management professionals. These are not careers. These are superpowers. Superpowers, right? Now, if you channelize that superpower correctly, and I'll give you some examples. I run electric vehicle business, right? So a lot of people would say, oh, I run electric vehicles. No, the aim is to remove 1 billion tons of CO2 from the atmosphere. In the humanoid robotics business, the aim is to completely eradicate loneliness for the elderly so that they are happy till as long as they live. If we are talking about stunning restaurants and bars, it's about creating spaces, designing spaces that bring joy in people's lives and give them a 60-minute holiday. So you're designing for joy, you're designing for emotional happiness, you're designing for the environment being clean. And the same thing with you guys, right? If somebody comes to you and says, listen, I need to transform a boring office, you're designing for a magical abundant space. If somebody comes to you and says, I want to design a spa or a wellness center, no, you're designing for longevity. You're designing, even if you look at ChatGPT, right? If any of you have to design the UI UX for AI, don't just design for a company or for your career, but design for clarity. Design for that thing to give you intelligence, for peace, right? To remove the chaos in people's lives and bring them calm because it can answer questions. So design with a purpose. In fact, make sure that you design a life so bold that it doesn't fit into your Instagram story, right? The last piece of advice or last piece of toast I can give you is in the restaurant, so we end most of dinners with a toast, right? So for the batch of 2025, I'm going to raise a toast. I have my bottle with me. Can I have my bottle? I'll raise it with my bottle of water, sir. No, I'll just take this bottle. Okay, there you are. So for all of you who have or don't have, this is a toast for the batch of 2025, right? May you always kiss, run, win, and vibe. If you kiss, may you kiss destiny and make it blush. If you run, may you run towards greatness. If you win, may you not win just followers, but lots of hearts. And if you vibe, may you vibe with purpose and love and never fear. So, congratulations. Thank you. So you guys are the future of not just this institute, but this country. Dream big, stay humble. If you fail, fail fast. Get back on your feet. Design with purpose. And most importantly, along the way, collect blessings. So congratulations on the start of this incredible journey at IIAD. Good luck. Thank you.